Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this video, we'll try to understand the importance of electoral bond. As you understand, this year, that is 2019, is a very important election year. So that makes this electoral bond really important. So let's try to understand the importance of it. How exactly will it improve the transparency in the political funding, and how will it exactly help in reducing the corruption which happens in any of the political donation in our country. And the next thing is there has been a lot of criticism against the electoral bonds. So we'll try to dig down and understand what are the various criticism. So let's talk about the basics first. So this particular electoral bond was introduced or notified in the budget of 2017-18. Following which, the whole purpose was to improve the transparency. But even the Association of Democratic Reforms has been suggesting that almost 69% of funding these political parties are getting are from the unknown sources. So you need to ask a question to your political parties, from where exactly are they getting the money for the freebies they're giving you, or the political rallies that happens. So what is the source of their money? And even the 255th, Law Commission report has suggested that the opacity, that means the lack of transparency in the funding, is somewhere leading to the lobbying and the power capture. Take an example. Say you are a big corporate company who is giving a lot of money to a political party. So in a very indirect way, you're actually influencing the political party to make laws in the benefit of the company. So that's exactly how you can lobby the political parties for your own gains. So in order to make sure this is reduced, we need a transparent system or transfer of money. And for that, we have actually brought in the electoral bond by bringing the finance bill. So this finance bill is trying to amend a lot of existing act. For example, you understand all these electoral bonds procedure will be actually passed through SBI, and SBI is controlled or regulated by the RBI. So we are going to actually change some of the clauses, that is basically 31st clause, section of 3 clause of RBI Act of 1934. And following which, we will have the RPA, that means the Representation of People Act of 1951 will also be changed. So these are the various changes we have done on the law. Now you can have a look at the sample electoral bond that you will be getting once you go to the SBI, and if you have done your KYC done, you can actually buy these electoral bonds and give it to the political party which you wish to. Also, if you notice, there is no place where your name will be written. So this actually bond brings in the say the functionality of anonymity. That means nobody will ever know who is buying it and to which political party you are giving it. Only they say the SBI will know it, and the RBI will know it. But as you understand, there is some of the cons in this electoral bond, because any central government political party have the access to all the database, so they can actually figure out very easily. So let's talk about the pros of electoral bonds first. So the whole purpose, as it says, is to reduce or tackle the black money, which is there in the political funding. And the next thing is, if you have the KYC done with your banks, only then you will be actually be able to buy the electoral bonds from the banks. So this somewhere is actually creating a clean money when it comes to the funding. And the second thing is to improve the transparency and the accountability. One thing which has to be done is filing the returns by the political parties, because these electoral bonds can be also used by the say normal people as a tax exemption also. This is something that you need to understand. Following this, let's talk about anonymity factor, because this is being questioned again and again. Because right now, if say you are getting money from a particular donor, and now you understand that there are a lot of donors in our city, in our country, and some people are giving the money to your opposing political party. And if you ever come to know, you will actually take the vengeance for it, and somewhere this will lead to the harassment of the donators here. So in order to make sure this is reduced, this electoral bond which will play a very important role as an instrument. So this is something which you need to understand. Following which, there is a functionality wherein you have to actually encash these electoral bond within 15 days. That means you have bought the electoral bond, you have given it to the political parties, they have to encash that within 15 days, or its validity will be get over. So the whole purpose of getting these 15 days of say the lifespan is to prevent it from becoming a parallel currency itself. Because if you make it unlimited, people will start exchanging electoral bond itself. So in order to make sure all these cases are avoided, we have made the lifespan of these electoral bonds for only 15 days. Now let's talk about the eligibility factor. So any political parties can get the electoral bond only if they have got at least 1% vote in the previous Lok Sabha election. So this is the clear-cut eligibility to get the electoral bonds as a political party. So you can have a look at this particular poster wherein all the information related to electoral bonds are being given. So these are basically nothing but a promissory note which have been issued by the banks. And also, in order to buy the electoral bonds, you need to be an Indian citizen or a incorporate or a body incorporate within India. So if you are say a corporate body, you can also buy these electoral bonds. Following which you need to actually fulfill the KYC norms, and after which you can actually make a payment and get these electoral bond. And you will get these electoral bond in the denomination from say 1000 rupees to 10,000. Then you have from 1 lakh to 10 lakh. All these facilities are available. And when it comes to the lifespan, the shelf life is basically for 15 days. That means, which I've already explained you, that you need to get these electoral bond encashed within 15 days of time. Now let's talk about the cons of electoral bond. So the first thing is the opacity. So this is something which is discussed in the pros also, but the problem is you will never exactly know how much is the political party getting in the funding. So if you talk about the transparency, we don't even know how many criminals are there in a political party. So we need to understand that the normal citizen, as a very aware citizen, should definitely know the amount of funding which goes to a political party, how many criminals do they have. All these information are not in the public domain. And the second thing is, even the 29C of the Representation of People Act says that they have to report anytime when they get more than 20k. That is, if you get more than 20,000 money into your account as a political party, you need to report it. But the problem is, in the finance bill that has been provided, it says electoral bond will be exempted from it. So there you find the loophole within the system. And the second thing is, every political party is supposed to file the IT return under the section 13A of IT Act of 1961. But if you have been getting money from electoral bond, you're not supposed to tax or basically file any IT returns. So this is the second problem within the electoral bond finance bill. And the next thing you need to understand is, if you're a ruling party, you have the control over the SBI. You can actually get all the database access. So somewhere you're actually favoring the ruling party because they can actually figure out who is this donator giving the money to the opposing political party. They can actually harass them. So all these power to the ruling government is somewhere we need to actually put a check on these things. And the next thing we'll talk about the most important thing, the corporate and the political nexus, because a corporate can actually influence the political parties and make them do something which is beneficial for their company, but not for the welfare of the whole people in our country. So we need to make sure that this nexus has to be broken. And how will we do it? So the provision which has been provided here is that any say board of director can actually give the money without the stakeholder knowing it. So somewhere the amount of say the awareness is not given to the stakeholders, following which say approval is required from the board of director before donation. So if you are trying to do this under the Company Act, so there are a lot of lacunas here also, because earlier the rule was, if you get any profit, you understand profit when your revenues are more than your expenses. So of that profit, 7.5% is the maximum you can donate to political party earlier. But after this bill that has been brought in, you can actually give any amount of donation to any political party. So this is a third problem with the electoral bonds, and this will actually not actually remove the nexus between political parties and corporates, which we need to understand. Following which, there's one more important thing. Because you can give unlimited amount of money irrespective of what profit you gain, there is a possibility of bringing on a lot of shell companies. Do you know what shell companies are? These are basically those companies which are used to actually transfer the money illegally into the system again. So all these shell companies can actually mushroom in our country once these electoral bonds can be misused. And also, I've already told you that the shareholder will not be given any information in a company. So all these are the reason why electoral bond has been criticized a lot. Now let's talk about the way forward, because electoral bonds are a real thing. We need to make sure this has been regulated in a really nice way. So one thing is, as say cleansing our say political parties here, what we can do is switching to a digital transaction where everything is recorded. So this is one of the solution which most of the people give. And also, say if you are being getting money as a donation for more than a particular limit, you are supposed to put it in the public. Say you put it on your political party web page, or even the election commission can bring that up. So all you need is, if you cross a certain limit, all your data should be out within the public so that they can make a very informed decision. And the next thing is to break the corporate political nexus here, because right now electoral bond does not break that nexus, and that is the most important thing, that these political parties should be away from these corporate companies. parties. So only then we can actually have a governance which will be well for the welfare of the people, and that is the citizen of our country. And the next thing is to put the political parties under the RTI Act. RTI Act is a very important act that means right to information. That means if political parties do anything, we can actually inquire about it as a normal citizen, which is already there in Bhutan and Germany, but India has not adopted it for the political parties. And the next thing is there have been suggestion of bringing in the National Electoral Fund, which will allocate the right amount of say money to all these political parties based on their performance in their earlier election. So this is one of the possible solution being given by a lot of experts. And also there was a committee, you can name them, that is basically Dinesh Goswami Committee, which was formed in 1990. So they said that there has to be a state funding of election where a lot of everybody will actually give a part of their income as a funding, and that will be used to actually donate it to the political parties for their rallies or anything that they do. So this was and this will make sure that there is a proper audit also. Even the CAG will come in. So there'll be a whole environment wherein the flow of money will be regulated on paper, and there'll be no amount of corruption, and every political party will get the money based on their performance. So this is a system which was actually envisaged, but this is not in practice. So that's all for today, guys. I hope that you have understood most of things about electoral bond, and thank you and have a nice day. Jai Hind.